Welcome back to another episode of the Dan Lok Show. And you know that every single time when I bring on a guest, I bring on someone special. And today I am bringing on someone who is very, very special, very humble, by the way, as you hear his story. And that's my new friend, Dr. Sheldon. Sheldon, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Dan. It's great to be here. Thanks for including me.
And I always want to go back to a little bit of the beginning, like how did you even transition from like a medical doctor to being a serial entrepreneur? Was it part of your plan, or was it just kind of happens along the way?
Yeah, well, it was kind of a natural transition. I always knew, even when I was in medical school, that I wanted to do something in the business world as well, but I really didn't know what. And I started looking for opportunities when I first started practicing medicine, and I was lucky enough to meet up with some lawyers who were actually doing business in China on behalf of their law firm. And at that time in China, they were importing a lot of high-end medical equipment, CT scans and MRIs. So they went looking for a doctor, found me, and asked me if I'd be the face of the company. I was a lot better looking back then. I had hair.
And, you're just as good looking without hair.
and then that's how we got started. So I was practicing medicine, and we were running an export company initially to China. And from there, you know what it's like, Dan. If you're in, you got to be in business to be in business.
Yes.
So things evolved over the years and multiple opportunities, and here we are today.
And didn't you have a successful exit after so many years?
Sure. So I mean, it was a bit of a transition to the exit. So first there was the China play, and then the Chinese government one day decided to change the rules, and you weren't allowed to import used medical equipment anymore. So we reincarnated our business in Cuba, actually, and we started exporting North American medical equipment to Cuba, and we actually became their collector of blood. The Cubans have a well-developed fractionation. They make antibodies, which is kind of a hot topic these days.
Yes.
So they make antibodies. So we collected all the plasma for them, and we grew that business from around 97, 98 until the early 2000s. And then the Cubans ran out of money, and we went looking for a business more local, and we ended up buying a third-party medical assessment company from a retiring physician in 2003, and then we grew that and sold it in 2011.
And if you don't mind to share roughly what was the exit amount?
Oh, a lot.
A lot.
A lot.
Millions, tens of millions, hundreds of millions.
Not hundreds.
Tens of millions. Got it. And from that, I think as an entrepreneur, having a successful exit, that's like the dream, right? That's the pinnacle of success, right?
I mean, you know what it's like, right? There's I like to say that there's no new ceilings, only floors. So you have your first exit, and then you start thinking, wow, I did this once. Maybe I can do it again.
Yeah, was it luck? Was it a fluke, or can I do this again, right?
So yes. Kind of through between 2003 and 2011, as the business grew, I stopped practicing medicine because the business just got so much bigger than medicine.
Correct.
And then when we sold the business in 2011, we had a friend who was starting a financial company doing subprime financing on car loan, and we invested in that.
And when was this? That
was in 2013.
Okay, 2013. Okay.
Yeah. So sorry, 2011. When
Okay.
we sold the first business, we invested in this other one.
Interesting.
And then we sold that to a bank in 2014.
So that's your second exit.
That was
then.
the second one.
Okay. Yeah. First one maybe it's luck. Second one it can't be. You're doing something right, right?
Well,
You're doing something right.
I like to think so, right?
I'm curious because most entrepreneurs, they build businesses but it doesn't sell, right? They don't know how to sell it, or they're too attached to the business, or they're working in the business too much. What advice would you have for entrepreneurs who want to build a business, maybe to sell, maybe not to sell, but it would be nice to get into a position that they could sell if they want to? What advice would you have for them now, and you've done it a few times?
So it's so hard, isn't it? They become our babies and we
Yes.
become very attached to them.
Yes.
And I certainly went through that with our first exit. And I credit my business partner for dragging me kicking and screaming through the sales process. So, you know, when I talk to guys now who are starting businesses, especially if we're going to invest in them, we certainly make the exit as part of the day one discussion. So I think it's getting it into your mind right when you begin that, okay, how am I going to make this business attractive to sell it? And whether you want to sell it or not, make it attractive to sell. And then I think your emotions kind of go along with that. So if you have it in your mind that you're going to build a business to sell, when it comes that time, I think you're more willing to sell. So I think it's really a learned behavior. It was for me anyways.
At the time, did the buyer kind of approach you to buy the business, or did you actively seek like someone who would acquire the business?
So we put it out there.
Okay.
We wanted to get a sense of what the valuation was, what the valuation of the company was, but both in 2011 and again in 2014 or 15. So we put it out there and we sought interest to see if there was any. So we used a consultant, an investment banker, and had them put together a package and solicit bids.
And did you then end up using a business broker to sell the business, or was it just, hey, see the network that the investment banker has and kind of put the words out there and just
Yeah, we've never used business brokers. So we have business brokers sending us, deals to look at all the time.
Yes,
but we have a very tight circle, and we use people within that circle to assist us with our exits.
Got it. And when you were running the team, you mentioned you have a business partner. Were you the kind of the visionary, or are you the more the integrator, like with your partner? How did you guys work together back then?
So I think my expertise is really and my passion is in the operations side.
Nice.
So I was, especially with the first company, the medical assessment company for insurance purposes, I was really the face of the business and the day-to-day operator. And he existed as more of a director and sounding board for opportunities.
Got it. So you're running the day-to-day, you are promoting the business. He's more the advisor, right?
He was the silent partner on that.
Got it.
So I was transitioning out of medicine, so it really became my full-time job. He was still practicing law. So he was practicing law and kind of on the side, helping with the first business, and then eventually he left law, and now we do things more on a 50-50 basis.
I'm also curious because most people, when they choose an industry, let's say healthcare, they just kind of stay within that lane, that industry, right? But then when you exited this first business and you saw something else, maybe, because it's a very different business, right? Well, yeah. So question number one is, what gave you the confidence, or what do you see that I could do this? Like, why didn't you go back to maybe another healthcare kind of a deal?
Sure. So I'm an opportunity-driven guy. If I see an opportunity and it's something that interests me, then I want to learn all about it, and I want to surround myself with people who can properly advise me, and so that I can learn to take things other than my basic skill set to the next level. So actually, when we sold the first business in the medical sector, I said I didn't want to do another medical business.
Because it's like, I've done it. It's like, I know how it works, right? Yeah, I get it.
So, finance was the next kind of opportunity that came along. And since then there's been multiple, and from each one you learn. And, and a lot of the basic tenets of operating businesses are the same. Yes. Right? It doesn't matter what industry it's in. So there's a lot of crossover.
As an operator, right? As a leader, what are some of the most important lessons as you share? Some of those are universal. That what are some of your business philosophies that the principles that you believe in that over the years, like, yeah, these are some of the best practices?
Yeah. Well, for me, it's relatively simple. I think it's hard work, setting an example for those who are beneath you,
Okay.
and always being 100% straight.
Mm.
So, there's never been any sort of bullshit. It's
Mm.
all straight up and transparent.
Mm.
And I set an example as the hardest worker in the shop.
Wow, wow. And do you, after the first or second exit, did you take some time off and say, hey, I'm gonna, chill out a bit, or maybe I'll retire? Like, what was going through your mind back then?
I took some time off after the 2011 exit. Although
Yeah.
we invested in the finance company relatively straight
Okay.
away. I
Yes.
did take some time off in that period there,
Mm.
and it was well needed.
Mm.
And I focused on my athletics
Mm.
for a while, and thinking about other opportunities that I wanted to get involved with. And I think that lasted maybe about 6 or 12 months before it was time to get going again.
Yes, yes, because I guess it's in our blood. We get bored, right?
Yeah,
Like,
we get bored. We get bored, exactly.
because I do know this that my first quote unquote first when I made first chunk of money, I retired for about 2 months, and I was like, this is so boring. This is because when we're going hard, long hours every day, suddenly you stop that rhythm. It's very weird. Like it almost feels like I'm wasting my time. I'm not being productive, right?
Well,
So
I had really been on the treadmill for about 20 years,
yes,
working full time as a physician and running
yes.
businesses.
Were you traveling a lot back and forth to China?
So in the 90s, yeah.
Yeah. Mm.
And then late 90s, early 2000s, a lot of back and forth to Cuba and
Cuba, yes, yes,
and to Vienna, actually,
yes. Wow.
to the UN. We did
Yes,
some work for the UN there. And
yes.
then through the 2003 to 2011, most of my travel was in Canada for the insurance company. So I was from one coast to the other, but I
Mm.
hadn't done a lot of fun type travel. So
Mm.
that's another thing. I took some time. I went on a safari in Africa with the
Beautiful,
family, and
beautiful. See some lions.
yeah, we saw some great stuff. Yeah.
And what about fast forward today? Like, what are some of the ventures that you're involved with, and how did it change even today compared to like a few years ago?
Yeah, so we've got some really interesting things that we've invested in. So we continue on the finance side to
Mm.
do some debt financing and bridge
Mm.
financing with a couple of specific companies that we've had a relationship for almost 10 years.
Hmm.
So
And that's through the FCT holdings, right?
that's through our SCT
Yeah.
holdings. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
So that's kind of our baseline stuff.
Hmm.
We do that, and then we've made a couple of really interesting private equity investments in the last couple of years. The first
Hmm.
is a company that does container farming.
Interesting.
This vertical farming, indoor
Yes.
farming type of thing.
Yes.
So
Yes.
these are some really bright kids out of Alberta
Mm.
who have developed a proprietary system
Mm.
to grow anything. I mean, fruits, vegetables, flowers in container systems. So they
Mm.
build container farms
Mm. You
up
mean
to
like those ones?
shipping containers.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So they
Interesting.
buy shipping containers
Mm-hmm.
and they join them together, the minimum
Mm.
of 250 per site,
Mm-hmm.
and have a proprietary system to grow fruits, vegetables, and flowers. And the really interesting thing on this is that there's a real environmental play, which of course is a hot thing right now,
Mm.
in that they're using liquefied natural gas in Alberta to power these farms.
Wow.
So a lot of government grants available,
Nice.
a lot of assistance
Yes.
from both the provincial and the federal level to grow this business. So we just did a raise on that,
Mm.
and we're building a farm, 250 containers, and we've got plans for 5 more farms already in the hopper.
Do they have to be brand new containers? I assume they could just be,
No,
kind of get them
no,
quite cheap, right?
in fact, we look for there's a bit of a worldwide shortage right now, but we look
Yes.
for used or refurbished containers.
Nice, nice.
We're going to probably look at just starting to build our own because supply has become an issue.
Because with what's happening, right? Of course.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Shipping it's getting hot. Yes. And for that business, I'm also curious as an investor, right? It's private equity. When you look at deals, what do you look for? How do you analyze it? I want to get into a little bit of the techniques, but also the mindset of like, what do you see in terms of how do you look at the entrepreneur, the one who's going to be running the day-to-day, like your perspectives?
So, for me, I always say I have the 3 Ps when I look at a deal. That's
love it.
The people, the product, and the price.
Okay.
And nothing's more important than the order. The people is the first and most important thing. Any deal I've done where I haven't been 100% settled in my stomach with the people has never turned out as a successful deal, right? So for me, it begins and ends with the people who are sitting in front of me. Are they credible?
Yes.
Do they understand the market that they're going into? Why are they going into it? What experience do they have? Who are their advisors? What's their long-term plan? Et cetera, right? So
What are some of the answers that it's that's the right kind of person to run it? Like what answers are you looking for, or what answers would be a red flag for you?
yeah. So, I'm looking for somebody who's going to show passion in what they're doing,
Okay.
that they really thought out why they're in this and where they want to go with it, and that they've got a good fingertip understanding of the industry that they're getting involved with.
Love it. Yes.
Those are the kinds of things that I'm sitting and I'm listening to, right? And also I'm looking for them to be realistic. Anybody who's telling me that they've got a valuation of $4 million because some company somewhere in the world similar to them had that kind of valuation at this stage. Yeah. And then they're showing me hockey sticking curves in 2 years, where they're 10, 20 times revenue. That kind of stuff just, I don't believe it, right? I'm looking for somebody who's super creative and is a critic of their own ideas. So somebody who comes up with an idea and then criticizes it and tells me, why is it good and why is it bad? And then I want to know that once they've been creative and they've been through the critical process, that they're going to be a crusader. So I've got the 3 Ps and the 3 Cs. So I consider myself a crusader, and I'm looking to invest in people who I believe are going to be crusaders in what they're doing.
What are the 3 Cs?
It's the creative.
Yeah, creative. Okay.
Creative. Okay. They're a critic of their own idea.
Okay.
And they're a crusader.
Got it. Love it. I love. Okay, let's go back to the 3 Ps and then the product. What do you look for in terms of products?
So I'm wide open on that. Right. I look at lots of deals and I don't discriminate other than for like cryptocurrency or something like that, which I just don't be able to wrap my mind around yet, although I'm trying. Yes. So I have no preconceived notions on the product. I'm open to anything and everything.
So as long as it's someone that's creative, someone who is not afraid to challenge and critique their own ideas, and crusaders, right? Motivated by some kind of a mission.
Exactly.
Got it. And then for price, do you like, of course, high profit margin, I assume?
Yeah, well, when I say price, I'm probably talking more about the valuation.
Oh, got it. Okay.
Yeah. So, we're not really kind of, 1% guys.
Yeah.
So we like to invest so that we have significant enough equity in a business so that we have a board seat or at least an advisory board seat, and that we're going to add some value and that we're going to be involved in major decisions.
Got it.
That the entrepreneur is going to feel comfortable calling us, talking about things with us, where there's a benefit both ways between us and the entrepreneur.
Yes. So providing advice as well as capital, right? Are you looking to acquire majority of the shares, or like what percentage you usually go for?
Certainly not less than 15%.
Okay.
You know, a lot of people, of course, are reticent to give
Yeah.
up majority.
Yeah.
You know, I always say if you want to be a majority shareholder, start your own business, which we just did, and I'd love to tell you about it.
Yes, please, please. Yes.
Yeah. So you know, not less than 15%.
Okay.
We want to have a substantial say in things, and you know, we want to be able to keep up with further rounds and not get diluted. So we'll usually start at about 15%.
And then kind of go from there. Yeah.
Right.
And do you sometimes put in when they raise another round? Do you maybe participate?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. So we're two businesses right now that we own about 15% of. There's the container farm business.
Yes.
And there's a finance company that specializes in Sharia law financing. So, you know, there's a large Muslim population in Canada, and they don't have access to good quality Sharia law financial products.
Yes.
So, you know, here's a great example. We met this guy who was starting a company. It's called Manzil, Manzil.
Okay.
And you know, bright, personable, you know, educated,
meet the three C's.
experienced.
Yeah.
You know, he was everything, right?
Got
so
it.
just as are the container farm guys, but really an impressive guy, and his product was going to be the Sharia law financing, which you know, we know about financing. I don't know a lot about Sharia law, and he had a great valuation, and you know, both companies have gone on to subsequent raises, and we've kept ourselves pari passu.
What size deals do you now typically look for that they have to be like ideally between what to what?
In terms of
like let's say revenue or EBITDA.
Right. I think, you know, for EBITDA, probably somewhere between 1 and 10 million.
Okay, got it. With like consistent growth,
Yeah.
historic proven record, and how are you? Let's say for someone who wants to do some deals, what are you doing to attract these deal floats?
So we have a really good network of friends and business partners and advisors who see a really solid flow of deals.
Got it.
They send us both from our legal advisors,
yes,
and also we've been on the advisory board of a large firm in Toronto. Nice. That has about $1 billion under management, and they do some venture capital funds.
So they see deal flows all the time.
A lot of deal flow from there too. Yeah.
Got it. Sheldon, do you right now? So with the FCD Holdings, is just you, or do you have some other partners within that?
So it's just myself and my business partner. He's been my business partner for almost 27 years.
Wow.
So it's just the two of us.
What's the secret for that? 27 years as a business partner. That's amazing.
Yeah,
it's truly amazing.
Yeah, well, we both have our skill sets, and you know, we both have a lot of respect for each other's respective skill sets, and you know, we've worked well together for 27 years. It's been a fantastic run, and we're still at it.
Yes. That's probably also us, like business partner, but also I'm guessing best friend as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah, just with everything you guys have gone through, the ups and downs, the good and bad, and the ugly, right? Everything.
That's for sure.
and talk to us about. So you said that they mentioned about a new business you're starting.
Yeah.
Right?
So we just started a new business. It's a software licensing business, and we've developed a.
It's so fascinating that the different businesses that you're in. It blows my mind.
Thank you.
It just blows my mind. It's like, wow, it's like, think about software licensing, like container farming, like what the, like it's crazy. Yeah, I love it. I love it
because I'm learning something new every day.
Yes.
Right. And that's really the best part. So yeah, so we started a software licensing company. We're just about finished with the software. We've got our first clients lined up. And it's IPTV software, so Internet Protocol TV software. So it's very interesting in Canada. is that there's a lot of small and medium-sized rural internet service providers.
Yes,
And,
yes.
and a lot of them do or would like to provide TV to their clients. So, once we all, you live in Vancouver, I live in
Yes,
Toronto, we think
yes.
everybody has a satellite or 5 TV
Yes.
or
Well, we
we
take it as like that's just normal. Like we take it for granted in
take
some
it for
way.
granted, but
Yeah.
you don't have to go too far out of our big cities to find that the service isn't quite what it is for us.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
so there's a lot, of course, there's a lot of money right now there for for broadband expansion. And a lot of these smaller sized internet service providers are taking advantage of that. And they're looking to offer TV. And you need to have a software product through which you can stream the signals. So we've written a software product just for that purpose. So we're really excited about it. We have our first deployment is in May 1st.
So it seems to me that but you look at all kinds of deals, but it seems to me you kind of leaning towards more business to consumer. Like you want things that kind of serve a lot of people instead of more B2B.
Yeah, well, the software licensing is B2B.
Correct. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, we're not interested at all in being consumer facing. It's all B2B.
Yes, makes sense. Yeah. Awesome. And for now, like what's your vision for that particular company? Where do you think that's going? And do you only invest deals from Canada, or do you also do some deals in US?
So we have done some deals in the US, but it's mainly Canada based.
Why is that? Wouldn't you think, US is a bigger market, or just something that, hey, Canadian, like I know Canada.
I know Canada. I think I'm more interested in investing in a Canadian business that may do business outside of Canada than I am investing in a US business. And those are just, tend to be the deals that we've seen have been more with Canadian entrepreneurs who I'm happy to be in business with and I'm happy to support.
Yes. And it's interesting because when I meet with so many entrepreneurs from Canada, I think it's almost overlooked. I mean, there are a lot of good entrepreneurs, great entrepreneurs in Canada, very creative, but sometimes because they're not in the US, like, you know what I mean? It's almost, you guys, Canadians are not as innovative, you're not as creative. It's kind of a little that stigma, I guess.
Absolutely, which is great for guys like
great
you
for
and
us,
I.
Yeah,
it's great
100%.
for us, right? Because we understand the talent pool, and there's a bit of a discount to shopping in Canada for these things in terms of valuations.
Yes,
and I think that creates more opportunity.
Yes, as you know, like I'm more in the software and tech, and everybody thinks about, of course, Silicon Valley or Seattle, but Vancouver, there are a lot of great tech, innovative companies, software companies, a lot of good founders within just Vancouver. But people don't think about it, right?
Yeah, sure. I mean, just outside of Toronto too, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I'm also curious with now COVID-19, what's happening from your perspective, as an investor, right, entrepreneur. Where do you see kind of the world is going, and where you see some of the potential opportunities that is, wow, like those industries, it's where you're most interested.
Yeah. Well, I do think both as an entrepreneur and as a doctor, I do think things are going to go back to normal. So
Yes.
I think that, everybody, right now is talking about how things will never be the same. I think human nature is what it is. And once sufficient people are vaccinated, I think things will go back to normal. But I think we're going to be a lot more cognizant about supply chains going forward.
Well, expand on that. What do you mean? What do you mean by that?
So, I mean, take food, for example, in the container farming, right? I think there's going to be a real advantage to locally produced, locally grown, easier to ship, not reliant on multiple supply chains. I think there's going to be a real sense that I want to get things that are closer to me, just in case anything like this ever happens again. Or I want to have a more secure supply chain than relying on overseas.
Yes. Yes.
And that's
More self-reliant, country-wise. Got
right.
it.
And I think that's a big play for us with
That makes sense.
with the container farming, both for in Canada and for the states that border Canada, especially out west, to be providing them with food and vegetables and flowers that are locally grown and just have to be driven across the border.
Yes, and fresh.
It's fresh, right?
Yes.
I think it's going to be a big advantage. So I think supply chains is the big
Supply
thing.
chain, okay.
Yeah.
Any other areas you will see?
Well, I think probably pharmaceutical industry is going
Yes.
to adjust to this, of course, and I think we're going to see more investments in Canada and other countries that are dependent again, and it goes to supply chain, for their own vaccinations. I mean, Canada used to manufacture a lot of vaccines 30, 40 years ago, and that kind of went by the wayside. And, you can see,
And now we're begging for some other countries to send us some vaccines, right?
you see today in Ontario,
Yeah.
Something like a $400 million investment to convert one of the pharmaceutical plants to vaccination production.
That makes sense.
So I really think a lot of things that are going to change are going to be tied back to that whole issue of supply chain.
One of the questions, and before we wrap this up, by the way, awesome share, really appreciate it. If you were to go back, let's say in the beginning of your entrepreneurial career, and you could have a conversation with your younger self, what would you say to a younger Sheldon?
Well, I would say never doubt yourself. I would tell myself that life is 95% luck and 5% effort. And as long as you give all 5% effort, you'll see 95% of the luck. If you don't give all 5% effort, you'll never see any of the luck. Wow. So I think working hard, telling myself just to work hard and stay true to my values and keep my eye on the horizon. And it took me a while to learn that. And
it's almost like doing your best but not getting attached.
Right.
I love that. I love that. And for my viewers who are entrepreneurs, if they want to get in touch with you, they want to connect, what's the best way to do that? Is it through LinkedIn, or they want to check out some of the projects that you have? Yeah,
LinkedIn or my email. It's SLLEVY@FCT, FrankCharlieTomHoldings.com. That's probably the best way to get a hold of me. I don't have a big social media presence, but I'm happy to talk to anybody and happy to look at deals anytime.
Awesome. Sheldon, thank you so much for being on the show. Appreciate it. I knew it's going to be a good conversation. I'm taking the 3 C's, the 3 P's. I'm taking notes. I appreciate it. Thank you.
That's great. Thanks.